The Great Gatsby is set in the 1920s. The 1920s is also known as the Roaring Twenties. The nation's wealth more than doubled between 1920 and 1929. This mass culture was new, urban, and sometimes racy. The new women of the 1920s were rebellious and untraditional. These women broke common stereotypes. These women, called flappers, cut their hair short, wore above knee-length dresses, and wore makeup. These women wanted to be different. Flappers also drank alcohol in a time when it was prohibited. One example of a flapper in The Great Gatsby was Jordan.
The 18th Amendment to the Constitution, ratified in 1919, banned the manufacture and sale of intoxicating liquids. Alcohol being banned caused the creation of speakeasies. These secret taverns were a place to party and drink without getting caught. This was also demonstrated in The Great Gatsby when Gatsby takes Nick to a speakeasy.
Cars gave young people freedom to go where they wanted, when they wanted. What many young people wanted to do was dance. Many jazz bands played in dance halls in cities like New York and Chicago. This is why it is called the Jazz Age. In The Great Gatsby, the jazz music isn't used as much as it should be for representing the time period. This is because movie creators have to please a modern audience with modern music such as the one playing in this video.
During the Roaring Twenties, segregation was still going on. In the early 20s, devastating race riots erupted across the nation, including mass violence. African Americans increased in employment and the nation industrial centers outside the South. This provoked many riots. Whites were angered by their employment. In the 1920s, African Americans played a major influence in the Jazz Age. Many African Americans were musicians. Harlem, New York was a very popular place for African Americans to move from the South.
By 1920, 300,000 African Americans from the South moved north. This was known as the Great Migration. The Harlem Renaissance began, and African Americans took on more roles. In The Great Gatsby, the party shows partying with African Americans. The Harlem This was not realistic. Although their increasing roles, blacks would not be typically partying with whites. Most people at these parties included white men and women of middle to upper class.